Coronation Street villain Theo Silverton is reunited with another family member next week, but one of his biggest enemies is determined to ruin things. Hot on the heels of Theo's ex-wife Danielle paying a visit to Weatherfield last Friday, his teenage son Miles is next on the scene. Young actor Lewis William McGee has reprised his role as Miles for another episode, following on from his appearances in the earlier stages of Theo's storyline. Miles reappears just as Theo's ongoing feud with Carl Webster is reaching fever pitch. With everyone in Weatherfield now aware of what Theo is capable of, Carl is determined to find a way to make him suffer. Carl goads Theo in the hope of provoking him into violence and getting him arrested, but whether the scheming scaffolder will rise to the bait remains to be seen. Later in the week, a homeless Theo crawls out of his van, still casting a sinister shadow over Weatherfield even though nobody wants him around. It's at this point that Miles heads over for a chat with his dad, explains our Corey source. He's horrified to see the state of him, though. Theo clearly isn't his usual self now that he has nowhere to live and everyone has turned against him. Feeling desperate, Theo then seizes this chance to get back in his estranged family's good books, anything to find a new place to stay. Theo suggests that Miles could speak to Danielle on his behalf and find out whether they can all try again as a family. Overhearing this, Carl is shocked and sees an opportunity to finally get one over on Theo. Who'll come out on top between the two enemies? James Cartwright, who plays Theo, recently told Inside Soap, "It's two villains head-to-head competing for the top spot, if you will. It's like two silverback gorillas in the jungle. When two silverbacks fight, whoever wins, that silverback then takes all of the other silverbacks' family. They take everything that they own." I feel it's a bit like that with Theo and Carl. It's a winner-takes-all situation. They're starting to dislike each other now, but that turns to real hate. The rain hadn't stopped in Weatherfield for 3 days. It clung to the cobbles like a warning, quiet, persistent, impossible to ignore. Inside Coronation Street, storms were nothing new. But this one felt different. This one felt personal. And at the center of it all, Theo. No one quite knew when things started to shift. Maybe it was the way his smile stopped reaching his eyes. Or how conversations with him suddenly felt like walking across thin ice. One wrong word, and everything could crack beneath your feet. Theo had always been intense, but now, that intensity had curdled into something darker. Something dangerous. The return no one saw coming. The announcement hit like a thunderclap. A familiar face was returning to Weatherfield, pulled straight into Theo's spiraling storyline. Not a hero. Not a savior. A ghost. Someone from Theo's past. For weeks, whispers had echoed through the street. People noticed Theo lingering longer outside closed doors. Watching. Waiting. As if expecting someone, or fearing them. And then, it happened. A taxi rolled up under flickering streetlights. The engine cut. The door creaked open. Out stepped a figure nobody expected to see again. A person who knew Theo before the charm. Before the mask. Before the darkness took hold. Someone who knew the truth. Theo unravels. At first, Theo tried to keep control. He always did. He greeted the return with a tight smile, pretending nothing was wrong. But those closest to him could see it, the subtle tremor in his hands, the flicker of panic behind his eyes. Because this wasn't just anyone. This was someone who remembered. Every lie. Every secret. Every moment Theo had tried so desperately to bury. And secrets in Weatherfield never stay buried for long. A game of power. Their first encounter was quiet. Too quiet. No shouting. No accusations. Just two people standing across from each other, years of history hanging thick in the air. "You haven't changed," the returning figure said softly. Theo laughed, but it wasn't real. "Neither have you." But both of them knew that wasn't true. Everything had changed. And now, the balance of power had shifted. The street feels it. It didn't take long for others to notice. Tension rippled through the community. Conversations stopped when Theo walked into a room. Friends became cautious. Allies became uncertain. Because Theo wasn't just reacting, he was escalating. His temper grew shorter. His actions more reckless. His words sharper, colder, more calculated. It was as if the return of this person had cracked something open inside him, something he couldn't close again. Truth begins to surface. Little by little, fragments of Theo's past started to leak out. A heated argument overheard through thin walls. A cryptic comment dropped at the wrong moment. A look, just a look, that said far more than words ever could. People started asking questions. Who was this person, really? What did they know about Theo? And most importantly, what had Theo done? The breaking point approaches. Theo tried to fight it. He tried to regain control. But the more he pushed, the more everything slipped through his fingers. Because the returning character wasn't afraid of him. Not anymore. They had nothing to lose, and everything to expose. And that made them dangerous. A confrontation looms. It was only a matter of time. The confrontation everyone feared, and secretly expected, was coming. Rain lashed against the windows as tensions reached boiling point. Voices would be raised. Truths would be thrown like weapons. And Theo, already standing on the edge, would be pushed further than ever before. Because when the past comes back, it doesn't knock politely. It crashes in. What happens next? In true Coronation Street fashion, nothing is ever simple. The return of this character isn't just about Theo, it's about consequences. About the choices we make, and the shadows they leave behind. Will Theo fight back? Will the truth finally come out? Or will the weight of his past drag him down completely? One thing is certain. Weatherfield will never be the same again. Because this time, Theo isn't just facing rumors or suspicion. He's facing someone who knows exactly who he is. And they're not staying silent anymore. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.